I'm the Talking Skull, and this year I'm exploring classic first-person shooters to draw a line from Wolfenstein 3D to Halo. This week, it's the Clash of the Titans. Quake and Unreal. These were the biggest names in arena shooting deathmatch action, but until now, multiplayer had been an afterthought for both id and Epic, a bonus feature that complemented but was always subservient to the campaign. Weapons and levels were balanced for single player first and multiplayer second or not at all. But in 1999, with the wave of multiplayer-only shooters just starting to rise, the industry's Leviathan settled in for a knockdown, drag-out brawl to see who could craft the most brutal, the most intense, the most fist-pumping, frag-throwing friend shooting in the business. Winner take all. Epic had a big task on its hands. Unreal had already been the best deathmatch mode of any FPS, for those who could play it. Now they intended to follow it up with a sequel entirely focused on arena shooting, with no campaign at all. In the sea of early multiplayer-only shooters, none had committed to Quake-esque arena shooting yet. Unreal also had an ace up its sleeve that none of its competitors did. Steve Polge. Polge had a Carmackian head start on programming AI, and he showed no signs of slowing down. Polge's bots moved with lifelike dynamism, dancing, juking, and adapting deftly enough to simulate mid to high tier play. Unreal Tournament offered 8 different bot difficulties, and my shoddy skills could barely crack the middle ranks. Sucker! This AI needs to be robust, because Epic also scoured the industry for all the best non-deathmatch game modes. Capture the Flag was quickly becoming a standard multiplayer offering, but Unreal Tournament also offered Assault and Domination, 2 compelling twists on niche favorites. Domination in particular showcases everything that works about the arena shooter genre, and feels like it should be the default game mode. A simple King of the Hill, but with multiple control points. Domination opens up intricately interconnected paths, gives focus and direction to frantic blasting, and incentivizes creative teamwork, all without ever getting in the way of the action. And the constantly ticking score prevents the boring stalemates that clogged up poorly made Capture the Flag maps. And many of these Capture the Flag maps are poorly made. Overly dangerous flag locations and too close by player spawns make actually capturing the enemy flag a chore and cause matches to drag on, especially with bots. Still, as a kid, I would play Facing Worlds for hours. I didn't care about the deadlock, I just enjoyed the free sniping. Unreal Tournament's deathmatch stages present far more intricate and enjoyable layouts. Once you overcome the initial hurdle of learning to distinguish these samey-looking corridors, you unlock rich arena shooting with more depth than previous attempts. And the needs imposed by Domination's multiple active control points force sensible structure onto even its most ambitious maps. So, with all these styles of play, how does this early AI adapt? Surprisingly well. You get a list of commands to determine the bot's behavior, with enough flexibility to develop strategies and styles. The bots pursue their given tasks relentlessly though, which sometimes proves a bit brain dead. You've got to throw the default cover me action right in the trash, because if you die, the bot can't dynamically assign itself the most reasonable follow-up. Instead, it just kind of wanders until it finds you again. If you stick with commands like attack and defend, the bots will rarely let you down. Overall, their suite of behaviors glides effortlessly, a nearly convincing facsimile of human play, an illusion supported by punchy voice lines that liven up matches.
You suck!
Oh yeah! Toasted!
Ah!
Good spot on that guy!
Die, bitch!
Polge had outdone himself. When it comes to weapons, Epic seemed content to rest on the arsenal they'd created for Unreal, which, you know, fair. They already had, by far, the most fun and varied lineup in the industry, and a thorough balance pass brings new life to previously irrelevant weapons. Even still, they've spiced up the action with niche additions like the Redeemer, dual pistols, and especially the Translocator, pushing Unreal Tournament's matches head and shoulders above their predecessors.
Unstoppable!
This announcer is iconic, so much so that fans have even ported him into other games. Unreal Tournament was a statement, dominating any and all previous arena shooters. Epic had thrown down the gauntlet. Just 2 weeks later, id answered back with, Oh no. Okay, first of all, what is this UI? Like, Unreal Tournament's UI kinda blows too, but at least it feels cohesive. You could definitely trim some fat here, but it's functional and it has a clear aesthetic. Quake 3's HUD elements don't even look like they belong in the same game. And what is with this horrible hit sound that plays every time you land a shot? It's some kind of feeble honk? It sounds awful. It makes me feel bad for shooting people. I don't mean guilty, I mean physically, sonically bad. No matter what weapon you use, no matter how well you play, Quake 3's gun feel always sucks because this honk makes every gun unsatisfying. And why are there still no new guns? These all come from Quake 2. id's weapon variety had already been behind the curve for years. People looked past that in 1996 because they liked the rocket launcher so much, and because there were no other online arena shooters. But for Quake 3 to stand up next to Unreal Tournament and present this? They even managed to mess up the rocket launcher. Why do the rockets explode silently? And every single shot from every gun gets undercut by that puny dink. Even the selection of maps and game modes disappoints, with a slew of barely competent deathmatch stages and only capture the flag and team deathmatch for alternatives. Not that you'd know it even had that from the single player, because id just didn't bother coding AI for capture the flag or team play at all. This is Steve Polge doing to Carmack's team what Carmack did to Tim Sweeney with Wolfenstein. Unreal's AI slaps Quakes around so hard it's ridiculous, competently navigating 4 different game modes while behaving more organically and presenting stiffer competition even in the one game mode Quake bothered with. Polge's Unreal bots might still be some of the best ever made. Meanwhile, Quake 3's final boss can't even navigate its own stage.
You have taken the lead.
Quake 3 Arena's UI, sound effects, and bots, and even some levels, all feel like someone's first pass, a mock-up that other studios would have spent months longer polishing. Instead, for the second time, id released a product that felt unfinished, and now they couldn't be propped up by John Carmack, because for once, they were the ones behind the technological curve. You can play as Orb, though. Oh god, why does he screech like that every time he jumps? I can't help but sense a bit of bias in the contemporary reviews for Quake 3. id were still the kings, and Quake was a juggernaut in the arena shooter market. Reviewers were never going to give Quake a bad review, even if it felt dated and half-baked. But even comparing Quake 3 to Quakes 1 and 2, all it really offers is a weaponry balance and one new game mode. This IGN comparison unintentionally sums it up better than I ever could. They hem and haw and wring their hands, pretending these two games are neck and neck, but look at this conclusion. Lacking level design, boring arsenal, single player is just a warm-up. Damn, that's harsh criticism. They just said that an arena shooter has bad levels and boring weapons. So what holds Unreal Tournament back? Slightly simple textures? More feedback to getting shot? The truth is, Unreal Tournament smokes Quake 3, and it's not close. If you're married to the exact feel of Quake's speed and physics, you may not enjoy any FPS ever made more than Quake. But if any other aspect of arena shooter play matters to you, Unreal Tournament renders every competitor obsolete with its fantastic arsenal, excellent game modes, cutting-edge AI, and iconic voiceovers. Although financially successful, Quake 3 would spell the end of id. John Carmack conceived Arena as a way to allow his miserable team to develop a game without having to directly collaborate because their work environment had become that hostile. And the team hated the idea. It saw Quake 2 lead Kevin Cloud step down. Now veteran level designer American McGee dissented and got the boot, and the military sci-fi retread stifled longtime id artist Adrian Carmack, who'd been begging to work on a more original aesthetic. Carmack had built the engines that powered id's success, but tension between team members and lack of direction left id more lost and unhappy than ever. Their next game wouldn't release for another 5 years, and it'd be a survival horror mood piece that awkwardly bore the ill-fitting title Doom 3. Doom fans hated it. Id retreated to the phone game salt mines, and it wasn't until Carmack left in 2013 to pursue his dream project that the company finally found its footing again. Epic, of course, would continue building up the Unreal Engine, and eventually make all the money. The versions of Unreal Tournament for sale today work pretty well. You do have to fiddle with the settings, and I'd still recommend the old Unreal mod, but more than that, I'd recommend Unreal Tournament 2004, with its much more fleshed out single-player tournament. That game had an entire league, complete with feeder leagues and a free agency. That game was John Madden Football's franchise mode for shooting people. But you can also get plenty of fun out of UT99 if you prefer. Just, dodge the remake that's being peddled on the Epic Store, at least until it's out of alpha. If this old stuff is interesting to you, check out the rest of my series on classic first-person shooters to see what I had to say about the first Quake and Unreal games and more. With Unreal Tournament and Quake III Arena, 1999 came to a close, and the new millennium rushed in. But before we can look forward to the future, we need to stop and take one last long look back at what used to be. Next week, John Romero makes all of us his bitch.
Bitch.